The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are 3.5-point favorites over the Toronto Argonauts on Friday night as the home side looks to clinch the top spot in the East Division for the fourth straight season. The Blue Bombers have won 8 straight games, largely on the strength of their run game and defense, though the Argos rank number 1 in stopping the run this season. A Toronto win would clinch a playoff berth for the team while moving them at least temporarily into second place ahead of the Ottawa Redblacks. JC, can the Argos end Winnipeg's winning streak, or will the Blue Bombers prove to be too much?
I've got Winnipeg in this one. I think that team is just absolutely red hot right now with what they've got going on. Yes, it's mostly been the defense and the running game, but we saw 2 weeks ago that Zach Collaros, when he figures it out, can be as good as ever with that 6 touchdown performance. If he can even get a fraction of that going against Toronto, I think there could be something special here. And the Argonauts have been wildly inconsistent this season. They haven't had 2 good games in a row basically all year, and they've been much worse on the road than they have been at home. Winnipeg, as we all know, is the toughest place to play in the CFL against what I would argue is the toughest defense to play against in the CFL. And I've got Winnipeg coming out on top of this one handedly.
Brady Oliveira did have a strong performance against Toronto earlier this year, 13 carries, 496 yards. That being said, that was when Wynton McManus was not in the lineup for this Toronto Argonauts team. For my money, one of the best defensive players in the CFL. I'm a little worried for Winnipeg's running game, to be quite frank, with him back in the lineup. It's true the Argos are without Fraser Sopik, who's been very good for them most of the season at weak side linebacker. But if I were to play the props game, I would look potentially at Brady Oliveira over receiving yards, whatever the line is for this week. And that's because in 3 meetings against the Riders, who are another very stout team against the run, Brady Oliveira did not reach 50 yards in any of those contests, but Zach Collaros made him that safety valve out of the backfield. He was very productive through the air. Wouldn't surprise me if Brady is more productive through the air, potentially even than he is on the ground on Friday night. That being said, I do like the Bombers to win. The line scares me a little bit. 3.5, I think, is a touch too much. If it's a field goal or less, I would take Winnipeg to cover. As it stands, since you're getting the extra half point above the field goal, I will take the Argos to cover plus 3.5. But JC, I think you're right about the atmosphere. It is a sold-out crowd at Princess Auto Stadium. The team's 4th straight sellout to end the regular season at home, and they are playing, right, for that first place spot in the West Division. So I like the Bombers to win here, punch their ticket to the West Final, but I do think the Argos are going to be able to keep it close, taking some of that ground game away from the Blue Bombers.